It is artists with trees for creative freedom, okay, and financial freedom. Okay, so before we get started on that, though, let me cover the basics and then jump into this here workshop, okay? So as always, make sure you guys go stream the music. We dropped a bunch of singles all throughout March. I will be dropping an AI project called Techno Fancy, where I take my own original music and I've added AI effects to the voices. And this is actually we went over this last week when we were doing, we do like the album cover works in last 2 weeks actually. We did the album cover work, but I haven't showed you guys the music yet. Hold up. So soon, you guys will be able to experience the music. It is 6 songs. So that's that project. I'm going to release that. That's exclusively going to be on YouTube. It's not going to be monetized in any way. And then we have my project REM that is going to be coming out as well. And like I said, I'm so sorry for the volume of things. I don't know exactly what's going on outside, but yeah. Anyways, the thing is REM will be coming out. I haven't picked a date for it yet. I think it's going to be coming out more so towards June, but all of that work that we're going to be putting towards REM is like all of the admin work is going to be in the record producing B2B on Mondays. We just went over the basics and then now we're going to get into doing some of the work that we do, the admin side, the paperwork, the business side of things, and actually showing you by example, using a real life project, showing you how I would properly register a project to make sure that it has financial success, right? So also the websites, we have amethystlist.wordpress.com. That is where all things Amethyst Amaris. And that is where you will also find my merchandise. That is where you're going to find my music is going to be migrated there. My gallery of paintings is there as well. That we're going to be also putting up a VR reality gallery on the website soon. Tropic de Qualia is the AI art website, and that is for mature audiences only. And that is where all things AI, the graphic novels, all of the AI art is there, stock photos, Twitch emotes, all of that good stuff is all there. Okay. And my Panacea Cafe, which a lot of this content that we'll be discussing today in this workshop, a lot of these resources have been readily available on Panacea Cafe for a very long time. Okay. Panacea Cafe was made in 2013, okay? It is literally going on 11 years, okay? 11 years of being a valuable resource on the things that we're going to discuss today. So if you ever feel like you're stumped and you can't find any more information in this presentation or this video and you want to learn more, go to Panacea Cafe, the Facebook page and the blog. The Facebook page is where I put so much information. I do put a lot of information on Pinterest, but I'm considering deleting my Pinterest very soon. Okay, so let's see. Alrighty. Like yesterday, as I discussed, the workbook and everything like that is not going to be available yet, and the newsletter is not going to be available yet. What I wanted to do is today and yesterday's workshop are considered introductions, and last week's workshop for ancestry is also an introduction. And by having those introductions, I want to include those into the newsletter and everything like that. And I want to be able to send it out one time so people aren't being overwhelmed by too many messages, but people are also not having to look through too many places to find what they're looking for. I want to be able to have everything in one cohesive place. Okay. So moving along, I think I covered all the necessary stuff. Hopefully you guys could hear me. I know it's quite loud over here. Don't know exactly what's going on. It's usually not so loud. And like I said, it is a library, so that's funny. Okay, so let's pull up this here presentation. Like I said, today I'm going to be getting into a lot of stuff. Um, let's touch on that. We have a lot of things to cover. I know artists finding financial freedom in trees sounds like such a broad concept, right? But as I get into it, yes, the reason why I decided to go ahead and start incorporating introductions like this into these workshops is I realized, you know what, people aren't going to know all the topics that I cover. In particular, for some of these workshops, the titles in themselves are very abstract. The concepts in themselves are very abstract. So I said to myself, okay, the best thing for me to do for this month ahead for May is to put the first workshops for each concept and each session, give an introduction explaining what it is. So last time, yesterday was 101 music business, so much information, my first like hour-long video, but lots and lots of information in that. I made it publicly available. This video too will be publicly available. My video for ancestry introduction, that is publicly available. The reason why is it is going to be opening things up in a scope. So I'm not gatekeeping information that should be readily available behind a paywall. A lot of people say, you know, don't release this stuff, don't talk about this stuff. You know, this is for school, this is for education. You know, people get paid so much for degrees to learn this stuff, or so many years uh, in their respective careers to learn this thing. But that is not what I'm here for. We are here to level the playing field and really teach people in a way that really grants them freedom to move to the next level. If we have everybody living based off of not knowing what's going on and in survival mode and not understanding the nuances of certain concepts, and everyone's just living at a surface level, how then are we going to make real change and real progress, right? These things I believe should be taught in schools. All of these things that I've taught in these workshops, I feel like minus the one, two swear word could literally be taught in high schools and everything because it is that invaluable of knowledge from the music business to the astrology to the AI technology to the writing to the storytelling. All of those things are invaluable. The ancestry, all of this is very, very valuable. So I want to make the information accessible and invite people to donate. And you can still go ahead and purchase on my website to get these workshops and the replays. And that is in order to support. But I am not putting a paywall to prevent people from having information that could otherwise really advance their careers and their lives. Okay. And that is just a personal thing, you know. um, a lot of people, they don't want these services to be exploited of themselves, and they do put paywalls, and that is their thing. Not all of this information is going to be readily available, but the most important basic key factors should be readily available, should be readily understood and accepted. Okay. So artists finding financial freedom in trees, week one introduction. Okay, alrighty. So trigger warning, please be advised, this workshop will discuss themes related to environmental degradation, exploitation, and the historical impacts of colonialism, including detailed discussions on the use and abuse of animals and lands, and the exploitation of indigenous resources. These topics may evoke strong emotional responses due to their sensitive and potentially distressing nature. We encourage participants to prioritize their mental and emotional well-being. If you find the content overwhelming, please feel free to step away and consider speaking to a professional for support. Facilitators are available during the workshop to assist with immediate concerns, okay? That is just a general thing. as you guys know, ain't nobody here right now. We're just doing this, but that's a general thing. And you'll be able to use this for your own workshops as well. I do want to make this a template that is available for people to use for workshops to teach this as well. Like I said, I really want people to be in schools teaching all of this, okay? Thank you for joining today's workshop. Our goal is not only discuss pressing issues like environmental degradation and the impacts of colonialism, but also to empower you with practical tools and resources for action. We provide a selection of educational materials, including videos and articles available for you to explore at your convenience. Empowerment through resources. This workshop is designed to inform and inspire action, not to overwhelm. We aim to equip you with knowledge and means to effectively contribute to positive changes in your communities and beyond. We're here to support each other in this journey of learning and activism. Okay, let's transform our understanding into impactful actions. Thank you for your engagement and commitment. Okay, and disclaimer, the information presented in this workshop is for educational and awareness raising purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are those of the presenters, that's me, and participants are intended to foster dialogue and understanding around complex and often challenging topics. The workshop is not intended to substitute for professional advice in any area, including environmental management, like legal advocacy, or mental health. While we aim to present information that is accurate and up to date, we encourage participants to conduct their own research and consult professionals as necessary. Participation in this workshop is voluntary, and all participants are encouraged to engage respectfully and constructively. And the thing is, like I said, all of this is getting the information, present information up to date. Some of these videos can be 3 months old. Some of these videos can be 14 years old. Okay, keep those things in mind. Sometimes things change. Okay, today we discuss trees and being stewards of the land while finding financial and artistic freedom in a green thumbprint. Okay, I would like to bring some of my constant thoughts to the forefront to bring awareness to my massive transformative purpose. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure my sound is on. Okay, at Harmony Workshops, Artists Finding Financial Freedom in Trees, we harness the potent synergy of art, environmental stewardship, and financial autonomy to forge sustainable futures for creators. Okay, outside of this, this is like the general mission statement and everything like that. Talking about like the work that I've done with getting into in the last 3 years, planting trees, working in the environment, but also working within cannabis, working within holistic health, working within land stewardship, working within being able to create different realms of freedom for artists, creatives, but also using that as a way of something that is symbiotic. It is something where I know that the artists bring awareness and the business and the work brings much value to the artist. Okay. So without getting too much into this, because we have so much other things to cover, that is the mission statement. Okay. And then green thumbprint versus footprint, cultivating land stewardship, harnessing artistic influence to shape environmental and social change. And as much of this as that's going to be available in the presentation, a lot of it I am going to breeze through today. Again, this is an introduction. And what I want to do is lay all the information out, and then you guys can leave in the comments below saying, hey, can you touch on this topic a little bit more? Can you really delve into that? We are going to be having speakers coming for this month, but we do have workshops where I can really dive into the information if that's what you guys want. But I want to cover the general basis of things, not to skim over in a disrespectful way, but to skim over in a way that there's so much to grapple with. Okay. So I'm going to play just a little clip of this. I don't have, this is like fair use, right? Here, let's speed this up a little bit here for you guys. Okay.
Native American belief. The importance to have connection to the land is essential for survival. Without the land, we are not connected to the earth. We're not connected to the universe. We need that support and serenity and stabilization that the earth provides.
Good. The ecological knowledge isn't something that can just be quickly learned. It's a multi-generational thing, and it gets passed down. Indigenous knowledge is developed over hundreds or thousands of years of doing the same practices in the same place and having that connection to land.
It's engaging with the environment, engaging with the resources that are relatives to us, like maintaining their health so we could be healthy. It's like this reciprocated relationship on a day-to-day level, and
that is just a little clip. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these videos. This is a PBS video, Indigenous Land Stewardship. Okay. Just want to give like a little general thing on land stewardship. Again, resources will be made available. Okay. Sustainable practices represent more than just ecological responsibility. They're crucial commitments to preserving human dignity alongside our planet's health. These include responsible resource management, the adoption of renewable energy, and effective waste reduction, which enable the natural world to replenish and support diverse life forms. Such practices are vital for maintaining ecological balances and ensuring the well-being of both present and future generations. In sharp contrast, environmental exploitation manifested through rampant deforestation, pervasive pollution, destructive overfishing, and reckless industrial waste significantly undermines both ecosystems and human communities. Driven by a capitalist agenda that frequently puts profits before people, such exploitation leads to the depletion of natural resources at unsustainable rates and contributes to global climate change. The repercussions extend beyond environmental degradation. They include direct harm to human lives through the forcible removal of indigenous peoples from their ancestral lands, the enslavement of vulnerable populations in hazardous industries, and the displacement of entire communities by extreme weather events and rising sea levels. These actions are not only ecological assaults, but also severe human rights violations, reflecting a profound ethical failure. The urgency of shifting toward equitable and sustainable practices cannot be overstated. This transition requires a global reevaluation of how resources are extracted and managed, demanding enforceable accountability measures for corporations and governments alike. The aim is to halt practices that prioritize short term economic gains over the long term health of the planet and the fundamental rights and lives of its inhabitants. Challenges and opportunities within industries impacting the environment. Today's environmental crises are deeply rooted in colonial and capitalist legacies, necessitating a fundamental overhaul of industrial systems. Industries like energy, agriculture, and manufacturing face significant barriers, including financial constraints and outdated regulatory frameworks. But these challenges also present opportunities for radical systemic change. Rather than merely adopting new technologies, there is a need to completely reimagine and reformulate industry standards and practices to prioritize ecological health and human rights. Artists and creatives play a crucial role in this transformation, using their unique perspectives to inspire innovative, sustainable, and equitable solutions. By integrating creativity with industry, they can help shift business models to incorporate sustainability at their core. Supporting affected communities is essential, not just in the healing environmental damage, but in empowering them to lead the recovery efforts. This approach involves providing resources and platforms for these communities to shape the solutions according to their needs, ensuring that the path to sustainability also rectifies historical injustices and promotes a just, equitable future. Okay. global climate disruptions caused by industrial practices. The irresponsible industrial practices of developed nations extend beyond local environmental degradation, exerting profound effects on global climate systems. Activities such as fossil fuel extraction, deforestation, and the unregulated mining of critical minerals like cobalt are prime examples of how intensive industrial exploitation contributes to climate change. These practices lead to significant greenhouse gas emissions, loss of biodiversity, and alteration of natural landscapes, which in turn impact global weather patterns and climate stability. Okay, that's the weather side of things. Okay, the current landscape, industry impact from pollution to responsibility. Okay, so case study, exploitation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The extraction of cobalt and other vital minerals in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC exemplifies a severe form of modern day exploitation that echoes the darkest aspects of colonialism. The mining industry in the DRC is marred by egregious human rights abuses and environmental devastation. These operations often proceed without meaningful consent from local communities and are linked to widespread ecological damage, including deforestation and pollution that devastates ecosystems and communities alike. Moreover, the conditions under which miners work are harsh and dangerous, as we've seen in the videos. This is just a very polite description of that, okay? Frequently described as inhumane. Such exploitation is not just an environmental or economic issue, it is an ongoing humanitarian crisis that mirrors genocidal practices by stripping communities of their agency, health, and resources. And to really get into some of these places where these people are digging and these children are enslaved, these people are enslaved, these people are suffering, right? It doesn't matter how far they get, they are poisoned by the exposure to these minerals and to these things, okay? They are poisoned by radiation, okay? And their water is poisoned. It's very, very unfortunate. It's a very, very heartbreaking situation. Global demand for electronics and electric vehicles drives these mining activities, implicating consumers and corporations in these abuses. This case highlights the urgent need for systemic change in how critical minerals are sourced, advocating for enforceable international standards that prioritize human rights and environmental sustainability. It is a call to action for consumers, companies, and governments worldwide to commit to ethical sourcing and to hold those who profit from exploitation accountable. Okay, and here we go. I'm going to put this here. This video, let's pause it here. I'm going to fast forward and just put up, here we go. Okay, we're just going to play parts. We're not going to play the whole thing, but this video will be available so you can check it out. As you can see, it's an hour. Really great.
This is mining with your hands. You go down the shaft, break up the stone with a crowbar, and fill the sacks. Then the carriers go down and bring the sacks out. We dig and fill the sacks. Then we've done our jobs. The carriers carry it out, pulling one bag after the other to the surface. The women...
Okay, and here we go.
How do industrial groups like Umicore in Belgium, which sources cobalt from Glencore, view that?
If there's a conviction, we would need to assess what is happening. We will do our own assessment as well. If a judge finds that a party is guilty, we will look into it and then make our decision, of course, yeah, based on the legal outcome.
Pour nous, c'est assez décevant parce que c'est comme si vous dites.
That's rather disappointing to me. Imagine that you've got a company there buying ore that's being mined using child labour, and nobody's bothered by it because the company hasn't been convicted for doing it. Understand? When it comes to child labour, you'd never hear the argument, no conviction, no problem. But it's different with corruption. As long as no one gets convicted, it's fine.
It
is clear to us.
Okay, so Like I said, this is an hour-long documentary. I invite you to watch it. There's certain things that I didn't want to show. I don't want to draw anybody with the child labor aspects of it. I want to show you kind of like what the working conditions are, and that is the bare minimum. So again, these videos will be made available so you can check out these resources, okay? Examining the scapegoating of third world countries for industrial pollution by developed nations. Developed nations often shift responsibility for environmental degradation to less economically developed countries, obscuring their significant contributions to global pollution. The strategic diversion allows wealthier countries to continue harmful practices without facing necessary scrutiny or regulatory changes that can mitigate their environmental impact. Such actions not only maintain an imbalanced global industrial system, but also hinder genuine efforts towards global environmental recovery. By placing the burden on less developed countries, which typically have fewer resources to combat pollution and its effects, developed nations perpetuate a cycle of environmental injustice. This unjust global structure not only affects ecological health, but also economic and social stability in these regions. Today, we will dissect how this shifting of responsibility impacts global environmental policies and continues to perpetuate an inequitable status quo, exploring the necessary steps towards a more just and sustainable global partnership. Okay, so here clip. Let me speed this up.
It's a hard life. I have this feeling that if I move away, I'm betraying someone, and that someone is like my mother. This land is also like my mother. It's that feeling that keeps me here, and I want to die next to my forefathers, and I want my skin to go back to the land.
In the future. But as you continue to increase sea level, eventually you're going to start to see flooding at almost every high tide.
To what extent how much countries are able to reduce their emissions would affect your projections and the forecast that now you are making in terms of the levels?
The target that you're talking about and keeping the emissions down in terms of future sea level rise, it really is everything.
Some of the changes are already locked in. We're going to see the increase in sea level, even if we shut down all of fossil fuel today. However, going forward, that becomes extremely important.
The climate clock ticks down as the world promises to act. But no one is moving fast enough to stop the waves from coming.
Moving along. Tuvalu, facing climate vulnerability and rising challenges, okay? Tuvalu, a small island nation in the Pacific, is confronting severe environmental threats from rising sea levels and increasing hurricane activity due to climate change. This scenario highlights the profound vulnerability of small island communities to global environmental changes. The escalating sea levels and intensified weather patterns not only endanger Tuvalu's physical infrastructure, but also pose critical risk to its biodiversity and the livelihoods of its people. Addressing these challenges is imperative and requires urgent international attention. Okay, and cooperation to develop and implement effective climate adaptation strategies, ensuring sustainable futures for the residents of Tuvalu. So this is a video. I'm not going to play this one in particular, but like always, these are going to be made available. So you can check out the title, you can see the channel, all that good stuff. That is about food forests.
To clarify what is happening here, the dynamic of the ecosystems, but there is other parts of the world where this is not needed because they have a direct understanding of their own environment. They communicate with other part of themselves, which is not precisely the mind, which is the heart.
The visitors arrive in the heart of the Brandenburg Forest 2 weeks later. The Kogi's spiritual leaders, known as Mamos, spend the first 18 years of their lives in darkness. Though we can hardly imagine such an upbringing, it's supposedly how the Mamos become attuned to the natural world. They only speak their language, Kagaba. An interpreter translates into Spanish. scientists have come to listen to them. The Kogi speak of connections alien to our science, energy fields, spiritual places long forgotten. Lukas Buchholz organized the trip and translates into German.
They say there is a sacred place somewhere around here that's responsible for maintaining a balance, a place that contains a kind of blueprint of the ecosystem that regulates this area. And they suspect that changes have occurred there that have ultimately weakened the Earth's own regenerative power.
Their next stop highlights one of the biggest problems facing German forests, the bark beetle, the spruce forest's biggest enemy.
Okay, so as you guys see there, as you guys can see, there is a lot to be a part of this. Okay, there is a lot to learn from indigenous.
We bought this, all of this, together
This up.
with you, our Mossy Earth members, so that we can restore the degraded areas and also protect the wonderfully diverse forest that is left. And we've done so with Freddy, a Quechua man, born and bred in the Amazon rainforest, who asked us to buy this land to protect it and all the wonderful species that live here. And this place, it's incredible. From home. But first let's get some perspective, because the Amazon rainforest is the ultimate temple of biodiversity. It is one of the last places that can truly boast of an uncontrollable and untamable explosion of life, in all its wonderful shapes and forms. This place is fueled by bright equatorial sunlight and abundant cloudbursts of rain all year round, which means that growth here is non-stop. It's always spring or summer in the jungle. The greens are always the greenest green. Here to do another nature documentary about the Amazon rainforest. We do nature restoration, we do rewilding, and as you can see all around me, there is plenty of potential here for more restoration. We're buying this land in a degraded state. 8 hectares were logged for cow pasture and 15 for monoculture cacao plantations. There were gold miners trying to buy this land for its many creeks, and balsa wood harvesters that wanted to grow and log balsa wood here. And the nearest oil pipe, it's just down the road. I think that rainforest conservation can be quite the bourgeois pursuit, where we have people who are comfortable, who are well off, telling people who are desperately poor that they need to fix this super complex mess. And those people that transformed the primary forest that would have stood proud here, full of life, full of biodiversity, that, transformed that into this horrible mess, I think that they're not at fault. And this is why we as Mossy Earth have never worked in the Amazon. It simply never made sense for us, because we never found a reasonable way in, an idea that was grassroots enough, and one that seemed sustainable in the long run. But all of that changed when Freddy came into the picture.
I am Freddy Walinga. I grew up in the jungle. I was born in the jungle.
Freddy's awesome. So this is Mossy Earth, and so just showing you there are ethical projects to look into that are working with the indigenous cultures to actually reach your goals of reforestation or afforestation, okay? The Amazon, a crucial battleground for environmental and human rights. The Amazon rainforest, often referred to as the Earth's lungs, is another significant example of how large-scale industrial activities contribute to global climate disruptions and severe human rights violations. The rampant deforestation, primarily driven by agriculture, logging, and mining, not only releases enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, but also destroys complex ecosystems and displaces indigenous communities. This destruction exemplifies the direct connection between environmental degradation and human rights abuses, highlighting the need for urgent action to protect these vital natural resources and the people who depend on them. Okay. So let's get into this one.
Residents have had in the town's entire history, and that resonates with me.
How do you get water to your animals?
With the water hose. Come here, I'll show you.
I tour Vincent Offord's business to see how he manages to care for his cows, horses, and hogs in a place without running water.
That's what pumps the water to the hose over there. It comes all over here. I bring the water all over here. That one hose do a whole deal of water, horses and all. Water all over everything.
Big Shine, as Vincent is known, is a son of Sand Branch who no longer lives here, but visits the unincorporated town several days a week. His property is one of the few with a working well.
I got water. Some people have to haul water. They come to me to get water for the animals, and I let them have water,
The problem with Sand Branch isn't only that it doesn't have a municipal water system. It is also that its groundwater is contaminated. But that doesn't stop Big Shine from trying to convince me to drink it. After all, he tells me,
I've been drinking this water for years, and there ain't nothing wrong with drinking it. Taste it. Come on now, you can taste it. Come on, hey.
Okay, so as you can see though, let's check this part out.
Just waiting on that one person to believe in them and do what it takes to help them really get the water. Like not grab the ball and then drop it.
as Chess and I walk down her narrow childhood street, which used to be dotted with relatives' homes.
Almost brings me to tears a little bit because it's so different from what I remember. Like you see these driveways, these were houses. Families lived there.
She shows me what lack of water has cost Sand Branch.
There has been fires and people's homes burned down because there's no water. Yeah,
and that is just one example. Okay, water deserts in Black towns and reservations. In the United States, many Black communities and Native American reservations face critical water scarcity, often described as water deserts. These areas lack sufficient access to clean and safe water, a fundamental human right, due to a combination of neglected infrastructure, environmental degradation, and historical marginalization. This situation is dire, with many relying on inadequate water systems or expensive imported water, which further entrenches socioeconomic disparities. The role of regenerative practices in addressing water scarcity. Implementing regenerative food forests can play a pivotal role in addressing water scarcity in these communities. By enhancing soil health and restoring local ecosystems, regenerative agriculture practices promote better water retention and create more resilient local water cycles. These practices not only support sustainable agriculture, but also contribute to environmental justice by providing communities with the tools and knowledge to manage their natural resources sustainably and autonomously. Okay. So I'm not going to show you all of these videos. A lot of this you'd be able to for Black farmers in the United States and how we really got to the place that we got to in that, okay? Supporting Black farming and land ownership. Efforts to support Black farmers and land ownership in the United States must address the systemic barriers that have historically limited access to agriculture opportunities. This includes challenging discriminatory practices by lending institutions and government agencies, which have consistently hindered Black individuals' ability to own and operate successful farming enterprises. Supporting policy reforms, providing targeted financial and technical assistance, and advocating for equitable land distribution are crucial steps towards empowering Black farmers and ensuring their success is sustainable agriculture. Okay. Okay, here is another video in regards to Black farming. Without shedding too much focus on that, I wanted to give awareness around that as well, because we're talking about water deserts, we're talking about a lot of these disparities and the things and challenges that we have. We can't look at things and say, well, we need to solve this without understanding the challenges that certain demographics and certain people are facing, okay? Some people are facing a battle that was never set up for them to even win in the first place. Okay. And here is a video about a couple, how they started their regenerative farm from scratch. So this will be another resource for you guys to look into when you have the time. Okay, regenerative practices, reviving our lands, the role of sacred species, and tree planting. Okay. And
these shaggy titans are the largest terrestrial animals in North America. They are natural nomads, traveling great distances throughout the year in search of food and water, while maintaining their ecosystems in the process. Their numbers were once in the tens of millions before being hunted almost to extinction, but they're slowly making their much-awaited comeback. This is the American bison.
I'm going to show you guys about bison and teaching you about how this colonialism thing doesn't just cross over to humans. It doesn't just cross over to land, but the animals, okay? And we have to be very aware of when certain animals go extinct, guess what? Our just our entire earth is doomed. Okay, we have to bring back the biodiversity of these animals. They are so key and so important. Okay, so the ecological and cultural importance of bison and other sacred species in land regeneration. Bison and other sacred species play critical roles in maintaining and restoring ecological balance. These animals are not only vital to biodiversity, but also hold significant cultural value for indigenous peoples. Today, we will delve into how these species contribute to ecological health and cultural heritage, strengthening the case for their protection and repatriation. Okay, and there's lots and lots of bison resources to offer you guys.
This is the
but we're
European
gonna
bison,
just
one of the most
go
iconic
over a
and
few.
important keystone species of Europe. And most people aren't even aware of their existence, but from 12 ancestors, they've been quietly saved from extinction and now number almost 10,000 individuals, which are slowly returning to the European landscape.
And this naturally raises some concerns and some really important questions around what their return might mean for us humans, which are currently occupying that space.
You see, the European bison roam the forests and grasslands of this continent for thousands of years. But the question remains how they will interact with this new human landscape that we have now. Can we manage to coexist with their trampling, tree breaking, poo spreading, and sandbathing behavior? And do we have enough space to avoid a scenario where a
Let's fast forward that a little.
Document for this.
Let me introduce you to the European Bison Strategic Species Status Review. What a tongue twister. It's a comprehensive 148-page report published by the IUCN Bison Specialist Group. It's a chonker of a document, but I read through most of it, and I also spoke with Yvonne, one of the experts who wrote some of the chapters. So let's start by looking at their population. If we turn to Chapter 7, which deals with that topic, we will find these two tables, which track the bison population and number of herds in 3 types of condition. Captive, which means really small enclosures, such as zoos and farms. Semi-free, covers herds that are fenced in, but in large areas, such as the one I visited in Bornholm last year, tracking in the Fagarash.
Okay, and so there's some information in regards to bison, but let's go into some more of the animals. And again, like I said, we're going to really, this is just an introduction, but I want you guys to know like all these topics, we can go into them even more. So if you comment below and you're like, wait a second, that there is more. But the thing is with bison and these particular animals, what they do is they literally how they eat and how they move around and even knead their heads into the ground literally creates ecosystems of bugs and plant life. Okay, they're so valuable. They create burrows in the ground that create many ecosystems. Okay, so impact of colonialism. Okay, on human not has not only reshaped human societies but has also had profound impacts on animals and natural ecosystems. Okay, domestication and use of horses. Horses were heavily utilized in wars and colonial expansions, often leading to significant suffering and high mortality rates. The use of horses by police and in military applications continues to raise ethical concerns about the welfare of these animals, wildlife, and PTSD. Animals in conflict zones or areas heavily impacted by human encroachment often exhibit behaviors indicative of chronic stress or PTSD. Elephants in areas with frequent poaching, for example, show signs of trauma and altered behavior. Extinction and endangerment. Many species face extinction or endangerment due to habitat destruction caused by colonial agriculture practices, urban expansion, and resource extraction. Role of wild animals in land fertility. Wild animals play a critical role in creating arable land. Their movements help to aerate the soil. Their droppings act as natural fertilizers, and their bodies, upon death, provide organic matter. The decline in wild animal populations reduces these natural benefits, impacting soil fertility and plant growth. Okay. Strategic tree planting and regenerative food forests. Okay. So strategic tree planting, okay, and environmental recovery. Strategic tree planting plays a crucial role in mitigating the effects of climate change and restoring ecological balance. It is not merely about planting trees, but selecting the right species and locations to maximize environmental impact. For instance, reintroducing bamboo to Turtle Island, North America, could have significant ecological benefits. Historically, bamboo forests supported diverse wildlife, including various bird species, which were drastically affected when these habitats were destroyed during colonization. By restoring such native plant species, we can help rebuild the biodiversity that was lost due to historical exploitation and environmental mismanagement. Okay, and let's go into this.
When the settlers were first arriving in America and starting their inroads inland, a squirrel could have run from the east coast, the shore of the east coast, all the way to the Mississippi River without ever touching the ground. And I thought, wow, yeah, some primeval forest with giant trees all connected, big limbs, and I could see that, you know. I was all wrong.
All right, hey everybody, welcome back to another Nature's Always Right video. Today I'm here with my friend Daryl Luck in Baxter, Tennessee to teach you guys all about bamboo. So Daryl here's an expert in bamboo. How long have you been growing bamboo?
I don't know if I consider myself an expert, but I've done. I have a stack of books about that tall that are bamboo, but I've read them all. But yeah, I've been doing it about almost 20 years. When I moved here 20 years ago, and after about 2 years here, I started adding bamboo plantings. And in fact, where we're standing right now, this blocks the road from being in view. When I first moved here, I could sit on the front porch, and you'd see cars driving by, people waving at you. I didn't really like that too much. So
it's good for privacy.
There's my solution: year-round greenery.
I love it. So yeah, there's just so many things.
Hear that clip in the beginning again. Let's pull that clip up again. One more time. Listen to that.
When the settlers were first arriving in America and starting their inroads inland, a squirrel could have run from the east coast, the shore of the east coast, all the way to the Mississippi River without ever touching the ground. And I thought, wow, yeah, some primeval forest with giant trees all connected.
So, bamboo trees even, okay? These are bamboo trees, and you don't see them anymore, do you? Okay? So here is some more advice in regards to strategic tree planting as a response to climate change, okay? I'm going to just leave that in the presentation, and you guys will be able to read that on your own. And like I said, I invite you to use this for presentations as well. So here, why tree planting campaigns don't work. Let's watch that. Okay.
Here comes a very painful statistic. Are you ready? In 2022, we lost 10 million acres of old-growth rainforest. That's 11 soccer fields of forest per minute. And it's a 10% increase from the year before, despite many countries promising to crack down on forest destruction. The vast majority of these losses are happening in the tropics, and specifically in Brazil, which accounted for 40% of tree cover loss in 2022. And we should care about these forests a lot. They store the most carbon and host the most biodiversity on the planet. So can we ever rebuild the forests that we've lost? And how do we do it? I'm Sinead Bovell, and this is Far Out. Although deforestation today is happening everywhere, experts say that the Amazon rainforest is nearing a crucial tipping point, where significant tree loss will convert the whole forest to degraded scrublands. Why does that matter? Well, the Amazon rainforest is considered to be one of the planet's largest carbon sinks. Quick definition. A carbon sink is simply anything that absorbs more carbon than it produces. So if the Amazon forest disappeared and all that carbon was released, it could be the tipping point that triggers a cascade of climate problems around the world, like melting ice sheet in Antarctica, or permanently changing the ocean currents that regulate weather patterns. Obviously, it would be great if we could just stop deforestation. That's the best solution to keeping forests intact, but doing that is complicated. And do we in Western nations have the right to dictate how the least developed nations choose to industrialize, when we essentially did whatever we wanted to for 200 years? And for many people, an intact forest is simply worth less than a soybean farm or a herd of cattle, at least in the short term. Ultimately, a lot of these decisions come down to politics. In Brazil, where most of today's deforestation is taking place, the 2023 regime change from President Bolsonaro to President Lula led to a 34% drop in deforestation rates. But we're still cutting down forests at That's partially why planted tree initiatives are so popular. Yes, we're cutting down trees, but what if we just replant them at the same time? Makes sense, right? Well, unfortunately, these campaigns are often so poorly executed that they fail catastrophically. An infamous example is in Turkey, where in 2019, a tree planting campaign broke the Guinness Book of World Records for the most trees planted in a single hour in a single location. 3 months later, 90% of those saplings were dead. Some researchers argue that the wrong saplings were planted at the wrong time of year, with little done to help foster their growth. Simply put, we just can't plant saplings and walk away. Even worse, some tree planting campaigns can actually damage ecosystems. If the wrong trees are planted, natural ecosystems can be disturbed. And most tree planting campaigns don't solve the bigger problem. How can we protect and replace old growth forests? So what does work? The answer is both technical and social. Let's start with the technical.
There's quite a narrow suite of species which are very popular for large-scale tree planting, and they're good for certain purposes. They're known to be fast-growing, they're reliable, they're good for producing timber and fibre.
This might seem obvious, but if the goal of reforestation is bringing back what we've lost, then experts say we should plant native trees, and not just 1 or 2 species that are easy to grow. But in order to plant native trees, you need their seeds, and that's a lot harder than you might think. That's where Kate Hardwick comes in. She works for the Millennium Seed Bank Partnership, which partners with countries to establish native seed collections.
Very often, even though people might know that they will just make the decision that they don't really want to plant exotic species, when they actually get on the ground, they discover that they can't buy seeds and they can't buy seedlings of native species, and so they end up having to do it by default. So this is a really important bottleneck.
Some of these trees are incredibly difficult to grow in a nursery, like the Brazil nut tree. The seed will only germinate if a rodent bites into its hard outer shell, leaves it partially intact, and drops it onto moist soil. Tree nurseries have to mimic this process with machetes and then soak the seed in water in order.
Okay, and there we go. Alrighty, growing importance in environmental strategy. The deliberate planting of trees is becoming increasingly recognized as a cornerstone of environmental strategy, not just for its direct benefits to the climate and ecosystems, but also as a tool for biodiversity conservation, improving air quality, and enhancing public health. These efforts are supported by numerous global initiatives and policies aimed at increasing tree cover worldwide, reflecting a growing consensus on the importance of trees in environmental sustainability. Okay, moving along, and like I said, all this other stuff you can read in the presentation. Okay, this video here, I'm not going to play these next few videos. Again, they're just going to be available for you to watch. But what this video in particular speaks on is the foods. Like, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of vegetables, fruits that have been eliminated from our diet. Okay, so here, right, this is, let me give you a quick breakdown of it. Okay, I can read this one to you real quick. The concept of regenerative food forests is gaining momentum as communities worldwide rediscover the vast array of native crops that were overshadowed by colonial agriculture practices. Colonization often forced dependency on a narrow range of crops like flour, rice, and sugar, pushing indigenous foods to the brink of oblivion. Today, there's a growing movement to reclaim this lost agricultural heritage, which includes thousands of underutilized fruits and vegetables. These food forests are not just about food production, they're about restoring a piece of cultural identity and biodiversity. Food forests are mimicking natural ecosystems. This approach creates diverse, multi-layered food systems that are resilient and self-sustaining. We'll explore successful examples, which we have, okay? And then let's get into it, okay? Let's wrap it up. So here is even an example of, see here, okay? This part here where I'm talking about in the Sahara Desert, in this paragraph, we have literally in this video, you can learn that instead of planting new trees, okay, they went ahead and actually started to nurture and take care of the root system in the Sahara Desert, creating reforestation without planting trees. So this video will be available as well, okay? Now, this enhances our sensory, this enhances our mental health, our well-being, everything. There's so many benefits, okay? So there's health benefits in there as well. So practical steps for artists and advocates: be deliberate, be brave, and actions that you can take. Okay, so like I said, artists can do something that is basically positive propaganda by start including these conversations into your music and into your arts and into your performances as well. Like, come on, guys, I know y'all watch Ferngully, you know, let's all get into it. Okay, use your platforms for the real. Okay, so here's another video on breaking down what a food forest is. Okay, and these are regenerative food forests. So these can be created and left. Okay, that's why it's so amazing how creating the native species and putting the native plants into the land and working that land for some time. You don't just plant it and then leave it. No, you take care of it and you build it up, and then you are letting it free. Okay. So here's some information about like things like hemp, sacred plants, and things like that as well. We're going to be getting to those conversations about pharmaceuticals and suppression of indigenous herbs and medicines as well. Okay, so the reclamation of that. So hemp, psilocybin, ayahuasca, cannabis, and all those things as well. Okay, things like how they use it to heal radiation in the lands. Okay, there are so many different things that you know it has. So here, educating communities about the rich history and diverse potential of hemp is essential in transforming perceptions and policies by highlighting its proven effectiveness in environmental remediation, sorry, particularly in detoxifying lands affected by radiation alongside its myriad other uses in textiles, construction, and medicine. We can strengthen the case for its decriminalization and reintegration into society. This effort is integral to a broader process of cultural and environmental healing, where plantcestors, such as hemp, are vital in restoring not only the ecosystem, but also the cultural and spiritual health of communities. And literally, like here, I say that, plantcestors, uh, that is a conversation that Maya brought into my life. We are really, really looking into all the herbs and all the different medicines and all the other things that have kind of been pulled away from us, the foods that have been pulled away from us, the plants and everything, okay? So earth dumplings, I'm gonna leave you guys with this before I give you the list of things that you guys can do today, okay? We can start doing today. So earth dumplings, seed bombs, and their role in ecological restoration. Earth dumplings, commonly known as seed bombs, represent a radical yet effective approach to ecological restoration and reforestation. These small bundles, typically made from a mixture of clay, compost, and seeds, are designed to be thrown into barren or degraded lands where they can germinate and help reestablish plant life. Okay. So here is some information about making these seed bombs or earth dumplings, okay? And then here is a video about it as well. I think what I'm going to do is provide the links of all these videos too. And here we go. Getting into like, how we can actually start to make impact. Learn about local ecosystems, native species, and the specific needs of your area. Conduct workshops or community meetings to spread awareness and gather support. Collaborate with local environmental groups. Join forces with existing organizations that have expertise and resources to guide reforestation efforts. And then I'm going to breeze through the next ones, okay? Start small with community gardens and local parks. Organize tree planting events. Advocate for urban tree planting. Restore degraded lands. Promote sustainable management. Leverage technology and innovation, okay? And most importantly, land back, baby, okay? Land back. So, for the love of God, use mulch. That will be how we will close that. Okay. So, developing, next time on Harmony, we'll be developing an eco-responsible project. Okay. Your rights with trees, and that is rippling into the conversations with cannabis as well. Like I said, we will be having conversations with Shaz Khan, and I will be having another speaker come out this month as well. And we'll be talking about ripple effects of land stewardship and also the canna world, like I said, getting into cannabis. Okay, Harmony workshops for the month of May is every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Okay. Oh, wow, first time being quiet all night. Okay, and creation stories is on our Thursdays, okay, which is the next one. Record producing B2B on Mondays. And then we have artists finding financial freedom in trees, which is today, but that is always on Tuesdays for May, okay? And here are the resources. And as always, Cheat McWitch. So let's stop sharing. I am sorry for the noise level today. I know it's kind of crazy. I think that they were having a teen night or something like that. I guess we'll have to see in editing what I was able to cover and what I was able to do. We'll definitely check it out. Hopefully I was able to just get the message over. I'll see in post edit what I would need to add more light to or anything like that. But I wanted to kind of give like a general understanding of how much has been impacted and how much work we have to do by being stewards of the land and really changing things up. Okay. So spiritually ratchet, there we go. Shout out to Jungle Flower. But anyways, thank you so much for everyone coming out. Thank you, Chimigwedge, and for being part of this. And go plant some trees, y'all. And don't forget to use mulch.